I guess I'm trying to figure out how to do. I hit go live. Could be now. Yeah, we'll see what it should be going on right now. Are you still there? Hold on.
Yeah, it's live right now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Cool.
closing out of the YouTube because it's giving me some feedback.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's live now on YouTube.
See how? See.
Yeah.
See. I'm here in Houston right now, and this is all new to me as far as Texas. I'm from New Jersey, but I mostly 90% of my hunting is done in Kentucky.
In Houston, you said.
Yeah, but I don't. I've only hunted Texas a little tiny bit out in Centerville,
Yeah.
but most of my hunting is done in Kentucky, on the northern part of Kentucky.
You might have to mute YouTube or turn the
Okay.
volume down on mute tab because it's a.
Okay. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I got my phone on. Let me get rid of that. How about now? Any better? Trying to figure out.
Oh, yeah, I figured it out. It was on my end.
Okay.
Because all I heard was I was talking 3 times and I had this open and I had it in Discord open and I had
Hold on one
YouTube
second.
open. Yep.
Go ahead. Plug my headphones into it. Okay. Okay. Let me go get them. Hey, I gotta plug my headphones into this thing. I think
Uh,
what's happening, my speakers are picking it up and kind
all
of
right.
like
Oh
echoing.
no, it was all on my end, so your end is
Am I
good now.
pretty clear now?
Yeah, you're completely fine now. Yeah, you're good
Okay.
now. It was on my end. I had the same thing open in 3 different places, and so it was just echoing all the way through. And I was like, "Geez, I can hear myself 4 times. What the crap is going on?"
So what made you go to those broadheads anyway?
Okay, so I mean, being a Texan, I have to deal with and a rancher, I have to deal with hogs.
Okay.
I've tried shooting them with a rifle. I've tried trapping them. Nothing really keeps them away for very long. And so the best solution is kill as many of them as possible.
Oh
Nothing
God,
kills
yeah.
nothing kills nearly as many as something quiet. And a bow is as quiet as you get. And I'll tell you, stalking. I mean, I've got my setup right now because here after this ends, I'm going out into the pasture. And I stock up with a night vision scope, and then when I get close, I turn the night vision off, turn the green light on, and I start shooting, and I can shoot probably 7 to 12 pigs a night. And I take 5 arrows, and you shoot it and go pick up the follow to where the lighted knock is, pick it up and shoot it again.
Pretty
And
wild.
and that's why I really like these broadheads. Um, I mean, I
Gotta
don't
be
know how.
durable as hell.
Yeah, is you can pick it up and shoot it. I don't know if you can see it, but this one's pretty
Yeah.
smashed up. Um, the blade is folded over here.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see it's pretty chopped up. But this one broadhead has been through 9 pigs, 6 armadillos, and 2 deer.
How many pounds you shooting?
I'm shooting 74 pounds.
Okay.
Yep. 74 pounds out of Elite Ritual 35.
See, that's me.
And
I'm a pounded nut.
see, I did a lot of reading and stuff, and your poundage isn't really too important. What's more important is how much inertia you can build. So a lot of people get really caught up on kinetic energy, and they really need to get kinetic energy when it comes to a bow,
See, that's
because
why.
kinetic
Good.
kinetic energy is how much energy you are imparting onto your target. So like when your arrow hits, how much energy is being dissipated out of your arrow into the target. You
Okay.
don't care. You don't want to lose it. You want inertia. You want that to keep pushing.
See,
Does that make
that's
sense?
why.
An arrow isn't like a bullet where you want it to open up or anything, unless you're using a mechanical, and then you'll think about it. But mechanicals are for people that can't tune a bow.
See, believe it or not, see, I live where I live in Houston. It's real hard for me sighting in a boat. Like I'm in an apartment right now, and
Yeah.
it's hard when I shoot. That's why I used to shoot Thunderhead 125s, and
So,
the only reason I went to mechanicals is because it's easier. Screw the damn thing on
yeah.
and let it fly.
Live Oak Archery in Bryan, Texas is the best bow shop in Central Texas you will ever go to.
Okay.
That, and they ain't gonna take you for a bunch of money. Okay. So you go in and like, hey, I need to paper tune my bow. They're gonna get you paper tuned. Not only that, but it's probably one of the only bow shops that I've ever been to in anywhere in the United States, anywhere in Europe I've ever been. Only bow shop I've ever been to where when you walk in and they've got the paper dig sitting off to the side, and if you don't know exactly what you're doing, you don't necessarily need one of the guys that work there to help you, because more likely than not, one of the customers is going to be like, hey, do you know what you're doing? You need a hand.
Okay. Okay.
Everybody there is super helpful, and they just want archers to succeed.
Oh yeah.
Great place. Here I am, like shamelessly plugging. I might as well like wear a hat or something, you know. No, I mean, but I love the guys. They're really great. After I was told that I wasn't going to be able to shoot a bow again, the manager there, he was like, I bet you I could get you shooting a bow. And he worked with me. He worked with my arm strength. He worked with getting my messed up shoulder fixed.
Okay.
And we started off in just a Diamond Infinite Edge that I still have sitting right there in that corner right there.
Okay.
That I use that for duck hunting now. And you like my flood lamps that I got so that I can shoot at night?
you got your night vision all set up.
Yeah. Well, I'm my target archery stuff. That's my target bow back there, and it's cutting close. And I just did a bunch of changes on my bow, so I was like, "Oh crap! It's dark, and I can't sight anything in or get my tapes adjusted. And I've got a tournament tomorrow to go to." So I went and $40 and went and bought a flood lamp, so I can get it all sighted in for tournament tomorrow.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm definitely one of those people that it's the heavier the better, but at the same time, everything works on kind of a slope. You're slowly gonna work up to like a better arrow. Heavier is better, and then all of a sudden, heavier is worse. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. You hit that. There's a plus and minus, and you're trying to
Yeah,
find that gray area there.
yeah, yeah. And let's see if I can find it.
See, I'm kind of, and I'm not. I don't shoot far. I mean, probably the furthest I've ever killed in just right around 40 yards. And the only reason I let that fly, it was just, how it came about. But I don't usually shoot far. I like lighter, a little bit lighter, because I suck in judging distance, and I shoot a lot of pounds. I shoot decent speed. You can't see it. Hanging on the wall behind me is a VTEC, an 80-pound VTEC cranked up a little bit. And if those older bows, the only thing with them older bows, and I've even had arguments with archery shops, I took this one in and I said, if you twist my string, you'll weight this thing up a little bit, because I had new string put on it. And he goes, let me tell you something. If you twist the string, I'm going to weaken it. And I said, you'll weaken a new bow, because you're only messing with the cams. I said, these older bows, this one ain't parallel limbs. I said, you're messing with with my limbs now. And I said, you tell me how I got it to 85 pounds. You know what I mean? It's only an 80-pound bow. And
Yeah.
I bottom my shit out. I bottom it out. And
But the thing with those older bows, yes, by tightening the string, you are adding poundage, and you'll do that on a new bow as well. But you're also preloading the limbs.
oh, exactly. Oh, yeah. I'm taking the life right out of it.
Which means you're killing your bow.
Oh, I can't tell you how many you look down them, and I mean, cam lean. I mean, you get cam lean.
So if
I lost
it
you.
get to a point where, yeah, eventually you're going to get to a point where your limbs are just dead, where a new set of strings on, and then wonder why you can't get past 70 pounds.
Oh, it like this. Like I said, this one here. And it's hard too because I mean the cams are really extreme. I mean, I know on these newer bows, the cams are so big because they got to break the increments down. You know, when these.
Yeah, a little bit. For people that like really really aggressive, like fast bows, I know they're not like really known for their compounds, but Bear makes some really wicked fast bows. I had a Bear Kuma and was
Okay,
shooting I was shooting 530 grain arrows at 298 feet a second.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's a bomb of an arrow being slung just.
See,
And
I held a 3D shoot when I was in South Carolina. It's when Matthews came out with that Matthews Monster,
yeah, yeah,
and I had a couple Matthews pros come in. It was these mechanical targets. It was called motion targets. He held a shoot
mhm.
inside the building I had, and when I did it, I had a Super Tech at the time, and that damn thing, I cranked that up. She was pretty much. It depended on the weather. It was like 87 to 91 pounds. It would bounce in there. And trust me, I'm not a big guy. I've just done it my whole life. My first bow was a Bear Kodiak back in the day. It was 75 pounds when it came out.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, I think it had 4 cams on the damn thing. It looked like it was crazy looking.
like the
But I've
prime do
always
now.
been
Yeah,
because I'm a shoulder shooter, you know, and that's what
yeah,
and I kept hitting these deer and, basically bottoming my arrows out inside, barely. And I said, I'll fix that. I bought a Browning Inferno off a dealer in New Jersey. First thing we did, we cranked it up. I mean, it was a 70, went right to 80. And I had to shorten my draw line because I do have short. I've only got a 26 and a half inch draw. So I had to shorten it. When I shortened the draw length, by twisting the string a little bit, I woke it up. I mean, this thing come alive, and I was like,
yeah,
but I mean, in the same breath, I mean, you'd look down on my limbs in a year or so, and those suckers were tilted. They
yeah,
didn't want to turn themselves around.
yeah. And um, that's a problem with like cranking them up too high, like just continually putting, because you're just turning the string, and you're
Yeah,
not applying that same tension to the cables, so you're getting uneven stretch or uneven rest in the limbs. So you've got your limbs like this, and then they fork at the end, because I assume they're the single limb, right?
well,
Not a dual limb.
oh, they're split limbs.
So it's even worse on a split limb, because you've got them like this, and now you've got that limb is just
Yeah. Oh,
canted.
yeah. It would. You're
And it,
right. You'd see it, and just like you're pointing, like your finger is right now.
yeah,
There's one hot,
and
but it's.
and
I don't know.
it does that because you're putting too much. There's not equal stress between the cables and the string, and so you're overstretching the string, and you're relaxing those cables, and so the cam can just kind of flop
See,
you.
I would twist my cables too. My bus cables, I
Yeah,
would twist them, and I'd bring everything. I kind of got everything, and I would mess with myself. Most of my work, because I had neighbors. You ever hear of True Timber Camouflage?
no.
Well, if you go to Bass Pro or Cabell, that's all it is anymore. And
All I heard
that was my
is
that was my neighbor.
multi-cam.
Yeah, but that was my neighbor in South Carolina, and I had access to an archery shop.
Yeah,
So I just went in there and I just tore my bow apart, and I get it
just
to
goof
fire.
off and make it your way.
Yeah, and it's weird because that's why I say I kind of go against. I mean, I kill a lot of deer, and I would, not that I'm bragging, and I'm really not, but I've seen 90% of my deer die. I mean, if somebody with a rifle has, and I even said that to at an archery shop, if somebody has that with a rifle, the ratio I have with a bow, and then I go, we had an argument about broadheads, and my one friend said, "Don't argue, Alan, because you're dead wrong." And I'm like, "How do you figure I'm wrong? You shot 7 different broadheads last year, and you killed like 14 deer, and you watched everyone die, and you never shot." I knew they were good broadheads. They're quality broadheads. They're gonna work. They work. I mean, I don't shoot far. I shoot probably 90% of my deer 20 yards and in, not 20 yards and out. Are you froze? I think you're froze.
Yeah.
Oh,
see, and really bad.
I mean, it depends, and I'm not. Trust me, I'm not the type of guy that just flings an arrow to see a fly.
Yeah.
When I shoot, I mean it. I love to hunt, and I just love to bow. I used to gun hunt, but I quit that about 15 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I still gun hunt only for the sake of my father-in-law.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, if I had access to what you had, trust me, I'd have.
Well, my father-in-law has gone through some health issues recently, and I'm a bow hunter, and I'm just trying to get him outside. He recently survived kidney cancer.
Damn.
They removed his kidney. He had a 5-way bypass and 2 surgeries on his wrist and his chest, besides the heart bypass. So this last year's been really rough on him, and the doctor keeps telling him that he needs to get up and get out. And he keeps talking about how he wants to start pig hunting with me.
Okay.
He will not touch a bow. So
shoot.
got a rifle. I got it all. So I'll rifle hunt just for the sake of my father-in-law.
Oh my God! Yeah, I mean, trust me. I'm
a bow hunter.
I mean, trust me. I've killed a lot of deer with a gun, and I'll be the first one to admit I enjoy the heck out of it. I've had some good times. But where I hunt in Kentucky, and you talk about lucking out. About 30 something years ago, I went out to the western part of Kentucky and got ripped off on a guided hunt. But it was the best thing that ever happened, because I happened to meet a guy that was on the same hunt as me, and we kind of hooked up, and he had like 1,000 acres in the northern part of Kentucky. And he's like, "Man, why don't you come hunt with me?" And I took him up on it the following year. And I kid you not, I got like 1,000, maybe a little more than that. But it's in the northern part of Kentucky, just south of Cincinnati. And I fly out there. He picks me up at the airport. I took people out. I took a couple of buddies of mine from New Jersey last year in November. And I got access. I'll post pictures of the house I got. I mean, I got a house out there. My buddy lends me a truck, 4-wheeler, side by side. I want for nothing. You know what I mean? And he wants for nothing. Yeah. It's kind of like old school, and that's where kind of people don't do that anymore. Where they just it's hard. And that's why I like sharing it. I swear I had an archery range here in the there's a park here with an outside archery, and I did a video a couple of years ago sitting there, and I begged somebody to come out with me. I said, "Dude, I'm not gay. I ain't this. I ain't that. I'm just telling you, I got the ultimate hunting spot, and I hunt alone." And I said, "It's boring, man. Night times for me, you get after the hunt."
And I've got pigs all the time, and I will do anything I can to, 1, get pigs off my land, and 2,
that's what I hear,
get people hunting. And so if I possibly can, for any reason, besides throwing my arrow at my computer, but if I can for any reason get somebody to hunt, I will get them to hunt however possible, including, "Hey man, if you've never been on a pig hunt at night, come out to my place. I'll take you." I did.
My buddy that was stationed over
your son, who I met through Discord, I've invited him already as well, and extended the invite to you
Oh, God,
already. I don't know if he said it, but I've said it 100 times on that Discord. If anybody wants to shoot a pig, you just send me a message. Because I love nothing more than talking bows and shooting pigs, man.
oh, that's me. I can't. I mean, I drive a truck, man. I drive all day, and that's what I do. I just hook up with my friends, and I just talk. And they said, Alan, is that all you think about 24/7? I said, yeah. I mean, every once in a while something might pop in, but it's very. I just like I said, I've been doing it so long. I'm 58, and I've been doing it so long, and I got kind of this, like you're saying, I got myself in really good shape because I have to. I mean, I'm working, but I'm being a poundage nut. Like right now, I'm looking for another bow. I have a Hoyt Charger now, an older, and I want to get rid. It's a 70-pound bow. I love it. I mean, it kills all day long. I killed a few deer this past year with it. But I'm looking for like like an 80-pound Hoyt Defiant or a Factor. And
why are you wanting the higher poundage?
I just always was. I talk people out of it. And, somebody else asked me. I said, but I've always, because it makes up, because I am a shoulder shooter, and I don't know where that come from. For some reason, I follow that leg up, and I drill it home, and I love it, man. And I love hearing that crack and taking the running gear out like a rifle, almost like when I shoot, it looks like a rifle shot when they're plowing their front end, and I'm like, oh man, that's cool. And
I actually have a buddy who's got an 84-pound Hoyt Pro Defiant that he's been thinking about selling.
That's that's exactly. I almost bought.
The thing is, he's got an 84-pound. It's at 84 pounds. It's a Hoyt Defiant. He's got it cranked down to 72 pounds right now.
Okay.
But he put the 80-pound limbs on it. And then when it's in spec, it's at 84 pounds.
What's his draw length?
His draw length is 28 inches.
See, I can see that one. I can get to work because, like I said, mine's like 27. I got like a 27-inch draw length.
Well, and when he started shooting, he's got a little shorter draw length than me. When he started shooting, he was at 27 inches, and so I do believe that he has the mods for it.
Okay. It isn't because there's a bow shop here. When I bought my Charger, it was the 29, and I just went out to the archery shop and switched out the mods on. They just took mine off, put theirs on, and just took the ones I had. He never even charged me for the ones. I guess because he got another set.
The reason why I ask is like why you like the higher poundage is because even my buddy shooting his Hoyt at 84 pounds, I was getting better speeds with a heavier arrow from a Bear Kuma, which is by all rights a lower end bow. But oh my God, does that thing throw arrows
quick, huh?
Holy shit! Excuse my language.
No, that's.
And have you ever shot like say like a 308?
Yeah, I'll shoot you.
Mid-load 308. Okay, that's fine. This thing was like racking a whole bunch of rounds out of a 308, and then somebody being like, "Hey, try this Barrett. It's not much different." And that bear is like a Barrett. Like, it's just insane. You feel it, and it even when you're at draw with when you've broken through the valley and you're at that. It just wants to go.
See, that's what I love. See, this VTech I have, that's what that is. I mean, when it takes forever to get that thing to break over. I mean, because it doesn't. There is no. It's either you got it all, or you got. And I'm not going to say nothing because I think it's only like a 35% let off because what I did to it. And I'm telling you, I describe it like a horse ready to race. This thing is, you wiggle, it goes. There's no cheating. You can't you better lock in because, and let me tell you something. When it goes, I explode. I mean, real quick, I shot an arrow. I shot at a deer. A buddy of mine gave me an arrow. He said, here's some arrows you can use. And I should never have done it because that arrow exploded. And I never seen an arrow go backwards before, but this one did. It fractured. It looked like you took a hammer to the arrow all the way down it and just broke the
Yeah.
carbon. And it just took
Yeah.
that arrow. And I won't shoot nothing out of it but a full metal jacket anymore.
So a lot of people talk about how great Full Metal Jackets are, and they're a good arrow. They are a good arrow. But staying with Easton, I think the Axis are a better.
I just seen a video at the they were talking about at the HHA show about and I'll be honest with you, that's probably I'm not a fan. Trust me, I'm not a fan of the Full Metal Jacket. The only reason I went to him, I said I just needed something. I just wanted something that wasn't going to explode on me anymore.
That right there. See, and these are my current hunting arrows. Same broadhead, same lighted nock. So 530 grain, brass insert. Amazing arrow, man.
Oh my God, you sound it.
Yeah. Dude, and so like I was telling you earlier, this year I got a deer. My buck, I landed him at 70 yards.
Jeez.
And normally I would have never taken that shot.
But you also got a lot of open terrain.
It was just a hay pasture.
Okay.
So, I have an easement. It's my neighbor's land that separates the land behind my house from where my cattle are.
Okay.
And so I have to go through the neighbor's place. Well, I was on the neighbor's place walking back. My wife had called me up while I was sitting in my blind, and we had an orphaned calf. The mama got snake bit and she died. And so we've got this orphaned calf. And my wife calls me up and she goes, "Will you come feed this dang old calf? Because it will not shut up." Will you do it? I'm, busy. She's like, "You're sitting in a tree. You're not busy. Come feed the calf." Fine. So I'm, cussing and kicking rocks, just loud as all can be. Because if I can't hunt, I ain't gonna let my neighbor get the deer that I'm after. So I'm being loud going through the easement, and this deer just stares at me. Like, I didn't even see it at first because I'm messing around on my phone.
Yeah.
He's just sitting there staring at me on the neighbor's place. Just staring. And I was like, this is unreal. Like, this doesn't happen. And so I go walking over to him to see, if he hurt or, what his deal is. And he just decides to walk casually over my fence. And I was like, well, if you're going to be stupid, I'm going to be stupid with you.
Yeah.
So I went underneath my fence and I see him, and there's these 4 doe and there's this buck. And I was like, well, guess today's the day. And I ranged him and he was at 40 yards. And I was like, that's no big deal. I shot an arrow.
Yeah.
Right over the top of him. And I was like, it's 40 yards. It's nothing. I missed. So I knocked and shot another arrow and it went right over the top of him. Well, I didn't see it, but he's sitting just to the point where there's a branch that I was ranging instead of him.
Okay.
And he was sitting just a little further back. And so I was like, well, those are my only 2 arrows, and I got to go get them. So I walked over to where my arrows were. And this friggin' deer, instead of running off, decides that he's just going to walk politely to the middle of my pasture and just stand there and stare at me like, what's this stupid ass doing?
Yeah,
he's just staring at me. And I was like, well, if you're going to play stupid games, I'm going to pick this arrow up off the ground. I'm going to play a stupid game to see if you can play catch. And I ranged him, and I was 70, and I was like, he ain't moved unless I was chasing him.
Yeah.
I might shoot this arrow. And I mean, in tournaments, I shoot this far. But I never thought that, 70 yards even at a tournament's like that's a far shot. But that's the wife calling. I'm going to ignore that. She's at lunch on work. But So I ranged him at 70 yards, and I was like, the only reason I'm taking this shot is because I shot at him twice already, a lot
Yeah.
closer, and all he did was look at me. It's the only reason I made the shot. And I just watched, you know, the best part of shooting a bow is you get to watch your projectile.
Oh,
And,
shit.
like when you're looking through the scope and you just see the fletchings, and I watched it just float straight in. And I watched the lighted knock drop out of the backside. So it had lost enough energy that the arrow had gone all the way through, and I assumed that it was hanging in him like this, but
Yeah.
he had turned after it hit him, and I watched it fall out the backside of him and just fall onto the ground. And I was like, "You're kidding me? No
He's
way!
mine.
That is insane!" Blew my mind, and I called my wife, and I was like, "You got to feed the cow." And she's like, "What?" And I was like, "I just shot a deer. You gotta go feed the cow too."
Pretty cool.
So mad at me, like, "I told you to." And I was like, "Hey, I couldn't pass it up. He was right there behind the house. I'll be there in a minute." So I went and picked him up and drug him home, and she was like, "Okay, yeah, I can't be mad at that. He's gonna
Okay.
be as good." 'Cause not the biggest rack for Texas, but he was big bodied, and she was pretty happy at the meet. So
It's to me, it's the story as
oh
much as
yeah.
you know what I mean. Don't get me wrong. Everybody likes shooting big bucks, but I think some of my best bucks are the ones that were obviously the tougher ones to get, like trying to figure out a Rubik's cube and then getting it. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, damn, man, I did it.
See, and that's my thing too, is like everybody's, "Oh, well, you can't eat the horns." Blah. No, but they're pretty on a wall, so shut
Oh
up.
shoot, yeah.
But my thing is the antlers ain't gonna go sit in a tree, but that's gonna be with me
Yeah.
every time I talk to like somebody new. I'm gonna be able to be like, "Yeah, well, this one time I took a deer at 70 yards."
Yeah.
You
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, or like, hey, my son got his first bow kill this year actually during deer season. He can't. I mean, he's 8, so
Okay.
he he can't pull nothing that I would let him shoot at a deer. But he smoked this fucking squirrel. Excuse my language again. He smoked this
Cool.
squirrel. Man, I was like, okay. I mean, you got a hunt license. Squirrel are in season, but if you shoot it, you're gonna eat it.
Yeah.
I'll eat it. And before I even said okay, then you can shoot it, he already had that thing drawn and was. And I was like, here I'm thinking like he's pulling like 22 pounds, and that squirrel is like 12 yards away. It's gonna see that arrow 100 yards. Like it's gonna see that arrow and just be like, nah, nope.
I'm out of here.
And I just watched the squirrel stare at this arrow coming at him like, oh, what's that? And the arrow stayed in the tree, and the squirrel hit the ground. And we all went running over, and my buddy that was with us was like, "Oh, I'll stab it." And I was like, "That's not your squirrel. Let him finish it. That's his squirrel."
Okay.
And my boy, man, he walked up and he pulls his pocket knife out and he finishes the squirrel off, and he grabs the tail and he sticks it in his belt, and he's like, "I got a squirrel." And I was like, "Oh, aren't you fancy? Shut up, kid.
I'm a
We're still
trophy hunter
hunting
now.
deer." Yeah. And so like everybody, we're all sharing our deer stories and stuff. And he's, "Dad, can I keep the squirrel tail?" It's like, "Yeah, but what are you gonna do with it?" So we taxidermied up the squirrel tail for him. I dried it out, I
Yeah,
packed
pull
it in
the
salt
vein.
for like a week, yeah, and packed it in salt for like a good few days until it was good and dry. And then I tied some 550 cord to it, and I put the brass to a 308 at the back of it so that
Okay.
it caps off the end. It looks nice. And I was like, "Well, now what are you gonna do to it?" And this kid takes it and he clips it into right there onto his hat. He just walks around with a squirrel tail. And I've had so many people be like, does he got like a rat tail? Like what and I'm like, "No, that's a squirrel he shot, and he thinks it's cooler than hell. I
Proud as
think
a
he's a weirdo."
peacock.
Yeah, he just struts around with it like he's the coolest thing.
Yeah, that's right. It's my first trophy. Right?
Yeah. And I mean, he shot deer with a rifle since he was like 6, but he'll talk about the kills that he got with a rifle just like it's anything that he does on a Friday night.
Okay.
But that squirrel with a bow, you can watch that kid grow 6 inches every time he talks about it. He just, yes, there was
Bows
a
up and
squirrel out of the tree.
that's
He's like, yeah, it was 11 yards up in that tree, and I just,
girl. That's the
I said,
best.
I just put that pin right on him. I'm like, you cocky little snake.
That's what it's all about, right? That's what I
Yeah.
mean. Like I said, I've had such cool stuff. I mean, I got some decent deer, but I have some that how I got the shot off and all the other stuff means more to me than anything. It's like
Yeah.
God darn how that one came about, and I like I said, I do feel lucky what I have out there. Like I went out there 3 times. I went out September, October, and November this past year, and I'm going. I love to turkey hunt too. I'm a big time turkey hunter.
I've never been.
Oh my God!
Give me
And
2 seconds, though. This coffee is burning through me, man. I'll be back 2 seconds. I
okay,
apologize.
that's fine. That's cool.
Oh, yeah, like you were saying, you know,
But
it's
I
all about
just
the story.
if you get on on Facebook, I got some videos I did when I was out there in Kentucky, and you could kind of see what I have. Like I said, I feel like the luckiest guy in the world. My buddy out there, he's a retired. He worked for Coca Cola. Now he's like 67. Yeah, 67, and he just loves people. Yeah, I think he enjoys more for people that enjoy what he has as much as what he does, doing it. That's when I get out there and this, like I said, this past
Yeah.
year, I had two guys that I used to know, God, about 30 years ago in New Jersey. And they see me on Facebook and they said, "You still going to Kentucky?" And they said, "Man, I'd love to do it." And I said, "Dude, meet me, fly into Cincinnati." And I met them at the airport. I flew out of Houston. They flew out of New Jersey. We met, like I said, in Cincinnati. My buddy picked us up at the airport, and we did a week hunt out. Yeah, like 5 days. And they talk about it to this day. My buddy's got a 209 out of Iowa, and it isn't like he doesn't have nothing because he used to hunt Iowa a decent amount. But he said, Alan, he said that was
Yeah.
the most fun trip I think I've ever been on. Because it's
Yeah,
okay.
I got a chance to hunt deer in Kansas, and I gotta say,
Oh my God. Yeah.
some of the deer out that way are just
But sometimes I get, I mean, and he even says, I mean, don't get me wrong, that 209, it doesn't even look real. When he sent me a picture of it, it looked like it was made up. I said, Stan, that thing don't even look real.
yeah.
He said, trust me. He said, it didn't look real after I killed it, too. And he killed it with a bow. But like I said, we talk about, he killed a good 10 pointer with me in Kentucky. A decent, probably like a 120, 125. And but he said, Alan, that had to have been the most fun hunt because everything's right there. We got access to everything. Nobody, the house, pickup trucks, full, and we just had such a good time. And now they can't wait till next year. I'll do it every year, and but I go out there a lot, and that's what I same thing.
Yeah.
I just can't get enough.
Yeah, when I was younger, I got a chance to hunt around a lot, but once I married into ranching, like that was
Oh
it.
my
I mean,
God!
now everything's all about the cows. Like
See,
you
that's what my
can't go
buddy has.
nowhere when
He's
you
got
don't
like
worry about
200 head of
cows.
cows out there.
Yeah, we got about 70 head, but
Okay, but real quick, talk about. I became a farmer real quick when I was out there. My buddy was taking down a ladder stand, had a ladder stand hanging in the woods for years, and my two friends were holding the bottom, and he climbed up, and he couldn't get the ratchet strap to let go, so he cut it,
Mhm.
and that stand's been in the tree so long, it started growing around it, and when he cut it, and
Yeah.
he had like a 4 foot extension on it, and it bounced off, and down he came, and I got pictures of him on Facebook. He broke two vertebrae in his lower back. He's been in like a turtle shell with a neck brace on since the early part of November, and he got busted up. How he didn't? My one friend that was out there said how he stood up, God only knows. And and it's another thing I never did. I never wore a harness, but I do. I do now. You know.
Yeah. I always wear a harness,
I never
and
did. I mean,
uh,
I threw caution to the wind. I was like, oh bullshit. I'm fine. I'm in a climber. I'll be fine. Or I'm in a ladder.
yeah.
I'll be fine.
And
And
I'm
yeah.
normally a spot and stalker. I
Okay.
only started I only started blind hunting and stand hunting um, here on my own place because I mean you can only walk across 250 acres so many times before everything knows you're there, you know. So I've kind of combined the two where now what I do is I'll sit for like an hour and then I'll move to the next stand. I'll sit
Okay.
for an hour and I'll move to the next stand. And I've noticed that I don't do much killing in my stands as I do from moving from one to the next.
Okay. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah. I've
but
done
I
deer
also
drive.
oh, deer drives?
Yeah, like my buddy and I will do them in the afternoons. I'll just go on stand and I'll push. Because that's the thing about Kentucky where I hunt. It's real hilly. I mean, it's like it's nasty. There's not a flat spot there. Everything, and that's what's even
Yeah.
hard. Even trying to play the wind when I'm out there, it's a bear trying to figure that out because everything swirls. But that's why I guess I don't. It's very rare I ever sit a ground blind. 90% of my hunt's either a climber.
Yeah.
Yeah, 90%. I have a climber. I got a lone wolf climber, and that's what I hunt out of.
Here on my place, all of my neighbors hunt from climbers, tree stands, everything else. So the
Okay.
deer here really they look up. I don't care what anybody says. Yes,
Oh
deer
God,
look
yeah.
up. And if they're used to getting, preyed on from above, that's what's going to make them nervous is any movement above them.
Yup.
But like I was telling you with that 70-yard shot, like I could near about walk up on the guy. Cuz I mean, when they're not used to the guy on the ground being the one to come at them,
Yeah.
then when you're on the ground, they just, "Oh, hey, what's up?
Yeah. I guess that's pretty easy. That's all right.
You here taking care of the cows?"
Yeah. That's pretty wild.
And they just kind of ignore you, which is it's pretty nifty. Like I'm not gonna lie, like it's pretty cool to be able to 2 years ago, just to see if I could do it. I went and slapped a doe on the ass,
Okay.
and nobody. So a friend of mine who's from upstate New York, he moved out here to Texas to actually start a pig farm. He used to run pigs in New York, but legislation up there made it
Oh God,
restrictive
yeah.
for
If you have a
as a
gun, you're a
farmer.
felon.
So, well, even besides that, it's hard to be a farmer up on the Northeast.
Oh
So he brought his pigs down here to Texas, and he runs pigs out here in Texas. Well, I brought
okay.
him out, and he was like, "Man, spot stalking deer is stupid." You ain't never gonna see a deer. You this and that and the other. And I was like, you might kill a bunch of, and I was like, I bet you I can sneak up on that deer and slap her in the ass. And he's like, no, you won't.
It's never gonna
I was like,
happen.
you shut up, lay down, and watch. And I didn't think I was going to do it. I thought I was going to get like maybe 10, 15 yards, and I'd have been like, that's close enough to shoot her, you know? But I just kept getting closer, and I was like, this is happening. My heart's like, "Urgh," and I'm like, oh, just a little bit closer. And I got close, and she's paying all of her attention to her little fawn that's, you know, right next to her. And I was, pap!
What?
And this deer, bleh,
That's pretty wild. Pretty cool.
And I come back, and I was like, how's that? And he's like, all right, maybe.
Okay, I'm a believer.
That was one of those where it's like a begrudgingly agreement. You know what I mean? Like he still doesn't. He thinks that I'm just lucky, but he has to give it to me because he watched it happen. You know?
Yeah, I can't deny what I've seen. That is cool.
Yeah.
You see, the
Oh man, yeah.
The good part about you is you got hunting year round. You have any access or no?
Yeah. Access to
Any access deer at all or no?
No. The only exotics besides the pigs that I've ever seen was I saw one Sika.
Okay.
And it had gotten out of somebody's high fence, obviously. And oh, believe me, I took it when I saw it.
Oh my gosh,
But
yeah.
It just looked like this little miniature shaggy elk right
Really?
in front of my house. And so I was,
yes, sorry,
what is
buddy.
that? Oh, I know what that is.
Yeah. I heard.
And well, I was with my mother-in-law, and we're driving down our lane to our house. It's a dirt road, you know.
Uh-huh.
And there's nothing but our pasture that buttons up to it, and then our two houses. And I saw the Sika like right out between her house and my house. And it was right there, like right off the side of the road. I was like, stop the car! And I jumped out and I pop, pop, pop with my pistol, and I had 7 rounds into this thing. I was not letting it get away, dude. And she's like, it's not deer season. I was like, it is for that deer.
For that one.
Like, you're gonna go to jail. And I was like, no, this isn't that kind of deer. This is
open game. It don't matter.
Yeah.
That's pretty
cool. She's
cool.
like, you shot it with a pistol. And I was like, yeah.
Don't matter. That is cool. But they say that a lot of the exotics are. How was it eaten? Pretty good.
It was like it was like eating an old whitetail.
Oh, okay.
So I'm eating, but it wasn't like some 2-year-old doe. You know what I mean? It was
okay.
Like eating an old, but it was good. Axis from what I hear.
Do you ever have you ever eat the heart of a deer?
Yeah.
I did for the first time this past year. A buddy of mine said, well, I shot this doe. He said, you know, after I gutted it and everything, he said, rip the heart out of that thing and bring it back. I'm like, what? He said, you never had it? And I said, no. Let me tell you something. I will always eat it now.
Oh yeah. You cut it thin and fry it up, man.
We did. We used like breadcrumb with onions and peppers and stuff. Oh my god, it was so good. I was like, damn, I can't believe I didn't save this.
Yeah, and depending on the deer, depending on the liver. So when you open a deer up, I like to look at their liver, and more times than not on my place, I'll eat the liver as well.
Okay.
But, if the liver is liver is already really dark. I mean, it's filtering blood. It's getting all of the dead blood cells out of the blood, everything. You know, it's already kind of a darker organ. But if it's if it's closer to pink than it is to brown, then I'll definitely eat that liver.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And oh man, I love liver.
Oh, I that I never had, but like I said, when he made, he goes, yeah, wait, I'll make you some deer heart, and you'll be taking it from now on. And I was like, God darn, it's good. I grew up on it where I lived in New Jersey, and it sounds crazy. I had some killer
Yeah,
deer hunting.
my family hasn't. My family hasn't eaten meat from a store in 4 years.
See,
So
that's the way. You
yeah,
know,
I mean, I got a freezer full of deer, feral pig, my own cow, ducks. Uh, what else? I got squirrel in there, got rabbit in there, and a few doves, some good old rock doves, pigeons. Man,
yeah.
good
Oh,
eating, man. I like getting the rock doves better than I like getting like
now what's a rock
regular.
dove?
Rock dove is a pigeon.
Okay.
So pigeons are introduced to North America. They're not native here, and you can hunt them all year round.
Okay.
And
See, we got
they're
like
bigger,
white
they
one.
taste better, and you can actually make a meal out of them.
I remember when I was in South Carolina, I hunted dove a lot, but they had I forget like a different type of dove, like a white winged dove. I forget what it was
Yeah,
called. And those they were unlimited because there were another one that wasn't they're not native. And well, I forget what else
yeah, and
they
you could just
just powdered the shit out of them. And I love that's another thing I got into. And I lived in South Carolina for a while, and God Almighty, I got into dove hunting. Damn, we would
yeah.
have a blast.
See, and I
I
I do all my bird hunting with a bow too,
Okay, yeah, I never tried
and I'm
that.
gonna tell you
It got to be a challenge.
oh yeah. So duck aren't so bad. Like duck are hard to hit naturally because you're shooting at this moving thing, but
Yeah.
dove are just quick, man. Like
Oh,
I have to wait for a dove to land and then get to draw and then spook them up and then you aim just as they're taking off. You aim just a couple inches above where they're at
okay.
and then spook them and let your arrow go. And but
What do you
and
use as
it's
far
cool
as a
because
head?
like you're shooting.
You use the same
Oh, I'll show
broadhead?
you one of my. No, I'll show you one of my bird arrows.
Okay.
Yeah, let me reach down into here. I do arrows.
A
So
few.
this is
Okay, a fluke. Okay.
so you use a flu, but with
Okay.
a bludgeon on it. So it's pretty much just it hits them like a ton of bricks. It's
Like
like
a
it's like taking a
slug.
semi to the chest. Yeah, and it just knocks them out of the air, and all you see is a feathers, and then it hits the dirt. it's, it's pretty fun stuff too. And then uh, with geese or like mallard ducks, smaller ducks, gadwalls, and stuff like that, I'll shoot a bludgeon at them. But with
Okay.
bigger ducks and like mallards or like geese, I'll use a field point,
Okay.
and that's just. I mean, hopefully, I'll get it stuck in instead of having to go find the arrow. Because, geez, man, it gets flus aren't cheap.
Now, how do you sight in your flu arrows? Don't they hit the rest and everything else when they're going through?
Well, so because it's feathers, these are goose feather.
Okay.
Because it's feathers, you don't have to worry about it.
Oh, it
I
just
mean, it can
okay.
hit all day long. It doesn't. There's no interference there. It's just like shooting off a shelf on a traditional bow. It's just
Okay.
goes over. But the thing is like a parachute, and so you get on my bird bow, it's at 45 pounds.
Okay.
I'm gonna crank it up because I'm gonna see if I turn it up to 70 pounds, if I can get an extra 10 yards out of it. But I've got 20 yards. That's it. You get 20 yards out of a flu arrow because
Boom.
it leaves like a rocket, and then it just kind of stops and
Is it
falls into
noisy
the air.
when it takes off?
It sounds like the freaking. It sounds like Apollo 7. It just.
That's what I.
Dude, they are loud.
I've shot them out of a recurve. I used to hunt with a recurve years ago, and I fooled
Yeah,
around.
yeah, they're not quiet arrows, I'll tell you that.
Oh God, uh, I'm gonna miss freaking hunting for a while now. Yeah, I can't
Oh
wait.
man, you don't need to miss it, man. If you want a pig, I mean, you're only hour and a
How
half, 2 hours away.
from Houston?
Yeah,
Man, I might take it. Like I said, I'd love to hook up with you. Like I said, if you never turkey hunted, like I said, I go out. I'm going out in April. I love it. Like I said, I shot my first turkey this past year. See, in Kentucky in the fall, you're allowed if you're deer hunting, you're allowed to turkey hunt. You're allowed two birds, and I had
really.
11 of them come in. And
Well, I mean, if you ain't got plans, I'm leaving the house here at about midnight. Go out for
I'm a truck
pigs.
driver. I just finished driving all day, dude. That's,
You're like, I am not driving another hour and a half just to
no,
drive another hour and a half at freaking 2 o'clock in the morning. It ain't
yeah,
happening.
and but yeah, like I said, that's if there's a downside to me. Once I get done driving all friggin' day, it's like the worst thing. That's why there's part. See, I'm trying. I thought about moving because I mean
Yeah,
but where I'm at, I came here because of work,
yeah.
into Houston, but I'm kicking around moving to Kentucky, and
Well, you can kick that right out the door it came in because you're in the greatest country in America right now. I don't know if
oh,
you
I
know
enjoy
that.
it. Let me tell you something. I'll tell you because I have a buddy of mine that like he lived in Madisonville. Yeah, when I first got
Yeah.
here, and man, I'm telling, it's same thing. He was stationed, and he brought back. I that the first hog I ever shot. I shot it with night vision, 308, Macmillan stock, custom barrel. Uh, it was night vision. It had a can on it. Shot it with a 308 with subsonic. And man, I got hooked on that bad. I shot about 1 o'clock in the morning,
Uh,
and I was like, when I got home, I said, I think I just shot a black bear. He said, dude, it's a hog. He's like, but I loved it, man. And I told if I ever got into it, gun hunting again, I would put because I shot another one with a blackout with
yeah.
thermal and but a 223, and I shot her right in the side. Needless to say, I never found it,
Yeah.
and but that was another gun I enjoyed because his son, he's the one that got hurt over in Iraq, and that's what he had. He bought a thermal. He bought it off this gun shop not too far from here, and that was another gun I love shooting. That was cooler than shit shooting thermal. I was like, man, if it wasn't so damn expensive, it'd be a fun gun to buy.
Yeah. Yeah, I like mine. It's just a Ruger American and left hand that I put on a Indian Creek design chassis, and I'll be
Okay.
getting. Um, I started out. Uh, well, I started out poor a lot there, and so I bought a poor man's rifle.
Oh,
You
it's
know, once I started like, oh well, this is a really accurate rifle as it is, but it could be better.
oh my gosh, yeah.
And
I,
I started looking, and I was like, well, on a chassis, and it'll get a little bit of flex out of that plastic stock. And so I
yeah.
put it on a chassis, and then I was like, but it's got an 18-inch barrel, so maybe I should get a 22-inch barrel. And so now I'm like looking at a 22-inch barrel, and then I
And
was like,
for
well, this Vortex scope is real nice, but a thermal one would look really nice.
I had
Yeah.
I had a Savage 110, the same thing. And my buddy said, believe it or not, you laugh at that gun. He said, when Savage had to put a gun together, they had to put it inexpensively, and they figured out a way to mount a barrel to an action. And trust me, it works. And I did. That was another gun. The same thing. We tweaked it. He played with it a little bit. And I mean, don't get me wrong. You're not going to shoot 400 or 500 yards with the darn thing. But I
Yeah.
mean, 200 all day long, and it would drive attack. What a cheap. And it had uh, what do you have? What I have on uh, a Monarch. What is that? Oh my God, I can't even think now. Uh, what the hell? Who makes a Monarch scope? Oh my God, I forget. It's not expensive. About $100 scope, $150 scope. And but believe it or not, for an inexpensive gun, it was an '06. It would throw a good bullet. You know.
It's
And
a
I
Nikon.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Nikon Mark. Yeah. And it was fun. It was a fun gun. I mean, but I just kind of I had a Weatherby Vanguard,
Yeah.
and it was all right. And my buddy isn't fond of them. He likes his 700 actions. He said if you're gonna put
Yeah.
something together, and but then I kind of got out of it. Like I killed two real good deer in Kentucky back to back. Killed one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and after that, I said that's enough of that. Because I mean, not to be some of the stuff I was shooting, Stevie Wonder could kill with it. I mean, out to
Yeah.
it didn't take much. I mean, it was a good scope, good gun, and so I just said, nah. I just didn't get. That's when I started bow hunting. I guess, like I said, about 15, 18 years ago, and I never picked up. Really, I never went after a deer again with a rifle. Not that
When I
I.
started, when I
Okay.
started as a kid, um, with my granddad, uh, my granddad was not the kind that did the kids into it kind of thing. He dumped you in it and you sink or you swim.
Yeah.
And so here I am, 8 years old, and he dumped 8 millimeter Mauser, Spanish Mauser, made in 1901. He said that's going to be your gun, and I had that thing until I was 22 years old, 24 years old, and it's the only deer that or rifle that I had ever shot besides what I was shooting in the army.
Okay.
But it was the only rifle I'd ever owned, only gun I'd ever owned until I was about 22, 23 years old. And I mean, little 8-year-old me with that 8 millimeter Mauser and Yugoslavian surplus ammo, and here I am. And this stuff, like some of the ammo, you pull the trigger and you, kapow!
Like a muzzle.
Yeah, because the stuff is just so god awful old. And like, here I am, 8 years old. The first time I sit behind this rifle, and he says, "Now be careful. You got to get that real tight in your shoulder." And so I did. I had that thing all squeezed in there, and I thought I was, oh, this is gonna be so awesome, just like the movies. And I pull that trigger, and it goes, and I pull away like, "Hey, boom!" And it just rocked the snot out of me, man. Just took me out. And I'm on the ground crying. My granddad's just bent over laughing hard as you are, just rolling on the ground laughing. And I'm just dying.
This
And
ain't
he's like, "I can
right.
think of that." And I was like, "I don't want to do it anymore." He said, "No," it said, "Get up, do it again, shoot another one, hold it until
You'll
you
be
shoot."
fine.
Yeah, and like I had no idea, and like I had no idea the difference of ammo, until I had joined the army. I just thought like, if your rifle shoots one, that exact ammo. The only thing I ever bought, 10 bought for this thing for like this Yugo surplus ammo. So the whole time I've been hunting, I was clip, wow, okay, that one went off. Or sometimes you'd click and it'd like shoot the next one, and then the one that's over here on the ground goes pat. What the shit just happened?
Yeah. It sounded like an old firecracker going off.
Yeah, and you just, what happened? And like, yeah, I just thought that that's what you did, you know, like like I had no idea.
Do you ever shoot paper shell shotgun shells?
So my granddad had an old French needle gun with the paper cartridges. It's a rifle. It's a rifle with paper cartridges. Man, that thing was dangerous. And he'd get madder than shit because I think that I was cool shit shooting Grandpa's gun, and don't you touch that fucking thing. I just madder than all hell. Yeah, man. I had no idea that he's over here like, let's see how much powder I can get in this thing.
I'm past the danger zone now. I get a little more.
And so, like, here I am, oh, Grandpa's gun's just sitting out on the bench. I'm gonna give it a shot. Bam! Yeah, thinking I'm cool, and he's, don't you touch that thing. Just madder than hell.
I had paper shotgun shells my dad had, and they'd get like damp or something like that. I swear to God, some of them go, the stuff would go wrong. I'm like, what in God's name is that?
Well, and then, okay, so I married my wife, and we're out here, and while I was in the Army, I got rid of my rifle, and I just never bought another one because I had lost my opportunity to hunt.
Yeah.
Because of my injuries, and so through recovery and stuff, that was like one of my big goals is, I may not be able to ever shoot a bow again, which screw you, doctor.
Yeah, think again.
But, I was like, I'm at least gonna, get back to hunting. I'll pull the trigger if I have to. So for the longest time I was shooting a crossbow, but I hate crossbows. Like, I like my crossbow for what it is.
Yeah.
I hate crossbows. And so my father-in-law was like, well, I mean, you can borrow my Remington 7600.
Okay.
And they're just nifty little guns, man.
Is that a pump or an automatic?
Yeah, it's a pump action. It's pump action 30-06, man, and it was cool stuff. And and again with the old ammo, and he's like, yeah, my dad's got some old stuff out in the barn. Well, no, it was all Army ammo from Korea.
Yeah, so it's all full case. It's not. I don't think there's any lead hanging.
Yeah, it's all full metal jacket, and so I was like, oh yeah, all right, I mean, a little corrosion on it, wire brush will fix
Tarnished a little.
Yeah. Oh, wire brush will fix that. It's just the Yugo stuff I used to shoot,
Yeah, the rifle would clean it up.
Yeah. And so I shot that, and I never in my life had shot new ammo until probably about 3 years ago was the first time I ever bought a box of ammo. And I've been hunting since I was 8 years old.
So nice. They all go off.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if it shoots, pawn shop go to a pawn shop, buy 1,000 rounds of Yugo 8mm for $20. Man.
I used to buy bags of wad. We'd buy bags of them wad cutters, out of the pistols of 38. I think you get a whole bag for like $5,
Yeah, and I just thought that that's like how everybody got ammo, it's just old stuff from some army somewhere. Until, obviously, when I was a little bit older, and you start recognizing it in Walmart and stuff, you're like, oh, hey,
they do sell
it. Stuff's cheaper, But yeah, I had never actually bought new ammo until just a few years ago, and I've always shot the older stuff, so it was kind of regular for me to just have that one that didn't go off, or that one that had a little bit of a hang fire in there.
Wait a little while before I open it.
Yeah, don't open the chamber. Give it a minute.
What are you
The
waiting
other one was
for?
hit it a couple times. Pull the trigger. If it doesn't go off, leave the bolt shut. You just hit it a couple times.
Yeah, let the fire pit smack it a few more times. It'll find a sweet spot sooner or later.
And people
You
are like,
look at it and it's dent, dent, pow. There it is.
yeah. And I've people be like, "Do you need money?" And I'm like, "No, man, I'm good. Why?"
I'm
Because
fine.
that ammo is like, and
I
I'm like,
can't
"No,
wait.
good stuff, man."
That works. Could you imagine how precise it really wasn't? Like, holy shit, this one's coming out how many feet? This one's coming out.
Oh, dude, I have no idea. Like, I always thought it was accurate if it hit like, I can nail a water jug at 100 yards. I thought that was accurate.
I
And
nicked it
growing up,
good enough.
yeah, I mean, it'll kill a deer there. That's good.
I mean, a pie plate, God knows where, but all
There's a hole. It's dead. That's good enough.
deer's a big animal. That's what I always looked
Yeah.
at.
But like, and what gets me is now that, I'm 30, 40 years old and I'm a tournament archer and stuff. And like, when people like are at the range and I'm seeing them shoot and like, they've literally got like pie plates or like paper plates and they've just kind of drawn like some shitty half-ass circle in it. And they're like, "Oh, well, that's good enough." I'm like, "No, do not shoot that at an animal. Don't do that. What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Wait a second. Like, not even 5 years ago, I was that asshole."
What are you talking about? It's perfect.
And I'm like, "Jeez, man, I used to take that crap to a living creature? What the hell was wrong with?"
Well, see, if you killed one back then, you were really good.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is I never had to worry about, like, if I was gonna get a deer, it was just, "How many times am I gonna have to shoot that deer?" You know what I mean? Like, cause, and I always blamed, like, I never blamed it on, it was obviously mostly my accuracy, I'm not gonna lie, but I always blamed it on, well, it takes a couple seconds before that, like, ground goes off, or, like, there's always some other reason, and I've noticed that with a lot of hunters, like, you're talking there's always another reason besides you that a lot of guys like to
Oh my God, it's the
and
broadhead. It's this. It's
yeah, it's the broadhead, it's,
other junk.
that garbage broadhead. No, every broadhead on the market's a decent broadhead because it's a sharp thing and it cuts flesh. That's
Yeah,
what
if
they
you
do.
stick that in the
And
lung,
like people, oh no,
yeah. What do you?
I've
Okay,
literally shot a bent fair rule. And if you have a tuned bow, if your bow is, bullet holing on a
yeah.
bear shaft, bullet holing on a, paper tune, you could stick a rock on the end of your arrow and it's going to fly just as straight as if you put the top of the line $150 for three,
Oh, I used to plain,
lifetime warranty.
bare shaft my thing. And let me tell you something. I mean, they might have wobbled. Don't get me wrong. You get a kick out, but they would bang, man. That's how I would tune my stuff with bare shaft, and I did that years ago. I just,
Yeah.
I said, screw this. I mean, I had the old TM Hunter rest, the little prong rest, and that's what's on. That's what's on that one I have here. And you talk about a pain in the ass because you got to draw it smooth, or you'll pull the arrow right off the rest.
Yeah. See, and that's why I switched to this. It's a Pro V, a Vapor Trail Pro V. So
Okay.
it's limb driven. I used to shoot a Q80, which was a cable driven drop away.
Yeah, that's what I got.
But what I don't like about the cable driven stuff, and it may just be QAD, but it's pretty. I still shoot a cable driven on my bird bow, and I've
Okay.
noticed that um, there's a lot of play in it.
Okay.
And after you've pulled it up so much, sometimes, especially if you hunt out in the weather, You know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
you're not inside of a thing, if you don't have a cover over it, if your boat's getting wet, eventually water's getting into those parts. And then sometimes it just kind of doesn't fall exactly
Oh,
when
I
it's
can. You're right because I can see where my fletching's running right across the top of my rest.
yeah, you'll never have that issue with a limb driven
Okay.
because its natural position is down.
Oh,
Its
okay.
natural position is down. You don't have to pull it.
Yeah.
So the moment that it's out of tail, it just goes down.
Oh, okay.
And um, even if it's stuck up, normally so the vapor trail has more contact to the arrow. So the QAD it just drops
Yeah.
immediately, trying to get way the hell out of the way real fast. But with the vapor trail, it makes you be a better archer as well because it keeps contact with the arrow longer.
Okay.
So you have to hold your shot a lot longer.
Okay. See, like I said, this one here. Hold on. See this one. Where is that? You see how old that bow is. Where is it?
Yeah.
See, that's why them cams are such a pain. They're the cams and a halves, and them bad boys. Oh, this sight is just a sight I slapped on. It's an old fuse sight. I I use an Apex single pin.
hmm I'm a single pin guy myself, but
Yeah,
as
I
you can
used
see,
to.
I'm that HHA kind of guy.
You can see that the rest is only this one here is just it's a it's a drop away, but it's only those two little forks.
Yeah,
And
that's
you talk about a pain because you can't wiggle. You draw this bow, if you can't pull it back smooth, you have to pull the arrow right off the fork. And the only
yeah,
reason I like it is because there's like barely anything on. This sucker is a smoker. I swear to God, I shot this, like I said, with those guys from Matthews when the Matthews Monster came out. And that Matthews Monster was shooting 309. And I had this, no, it was the VTEC. This is a VTEC. I had a Super Tech. And I had that maxed out. And I shot that 310, and then he had real light arrows. And I said, let me borrow one of yours, like $300 a dozen. So let me shoot one of them. He said, it won't make a difference. I said, don't tell me it won't make a difference. Those arrows are $300 a dozen. And I said, and they make a difference. And I shot that almost 315 out of that. And he was stunned. He was like, I can't, but I mean, it was also 90, damn near 90 pounds with those cams.
yeah,
Talk about a bear to get it back, man. It'll pull you. That damn thing will pull your back out. It won't pull your shoulder out. And try to let it up. I was shooting it at the range, and another guy he had an RX. Was it an RX3 at 80 pounds, and he said, "Here, shoot this." And I shot it. It was nice. I mean, no getting around it. I mean, it was smooth as glass. And he goes, "Well, what's that thing?" And I said, "Well, that's 82. You know, it's like 82, something like that." And he goes, "Oh, you mind if I shoot it?" And I said, "Go ahead, man. Let it rub it. I'm telling you right now, be careful." And he goes, "Oh, he was a big boy." And he goes, "I'll be all right." And I swear to God, he couldn't break it over. He goes, "There's something wrong with that thing." I said, "Nothing wrong with it, man." I said, "It's just different. It's not smooth." That's my 300 Win Mag. That's what I tell him.
yeah,
The difference between your bow and that, I said, "You're shooting a Weatherby. I'm shooting a freaking, a 45-70, And I'm like, I mean, an old lever action. And but let me tell you something, pal. When she lets fly, it is. I was shooting a block target, one of a black block target, and I swear to God, I'd knock it over. He's like,
yeah,
Jesus Christ, man, what are you shooting it with? And I said, man, that's just like you said, it's a lot of inertia. I said, I don't know what it's got.
yeah.
And I'm surprised this thing, I mean, this bow is got to be, and this freaking thing, it don't have an ounce of cam lean. And I don't know why. And I torqued the dog shit out of this bow. I don't know why it don't. I mean, I
See,
had new strings put on it, but I when he put them on, I took them off and I twisted them. After
and
he put them on, I
and
said, twist the strings. He goes, I can't
Oh
do it.
yeah.
They won't do it at an
Oh
archery.
yeah. It's got some lean in
A
it.
tiny,
Those-
it's not
But
bad. I
no,
mean,
but the lean that's in it looks like it's because the limbs are, and so the cam lean is counteracting to that.
yeah,
The
it's
limb
probably
work.
perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I
So
mean?
you're
Because
yeah.
one's bent one way, but this sucker, I mean, it got hand shot from hell too. I mean,
Oh
if you
yeah.
shoot it against, if when I shoot it alone, it ain't bad. You know, if I just shoot this one, I'm like, okay, don't pick up my other one. It ain't, and I can't even shoot my other one because my other one's still in Kentucky. Because I usually bring it out there in September, and I don't usually bring it back till November. But this time I want a turkey hunt with it, so I left it there. But I want it back. But I almost bought a prime. A guy was selling one, and but I couldn't. It was a Synergy, I guess it was. I think it was a prime Synergy, something like that. But I couldn't adjust the draw length, and he had long arms. He said on one of them,
Synergy.
you got to buy new cams for it. And I said, well, I ain't.
See, I went at, and now that we're uh, actually being listened to by people, I wanted to bring, since you mentioned it, I wanted to bring back up that like everybody talks about kinetic energy, kinetic energy, kinetic energy, and that stuff for a bow is garbage. You're not trying. So with a bullet, like a bullet, everybody talks about kinetic energy because you're imparting energy from your projectile onto or into the target. You're dumping all of your energy in there. That's kinetic
Okay.
energy is really good for a bullet.
Hey, not to. How do you know people are listening?
Um, because it's on YouTube and people are going to watch it eventually.
Oh, okay, okay. I didn't know if it showed up.
Um, but the with an arrow, you want it to hold as much energy as you can. So
Yeah.
you don't want to measure the kinetic energy of an arrow. You want to measure its momentum. So the way I like to think of it is kinetic energy is if a car's hitting a wall, a brick wall,
Uh huh.
kinetic energy is how much of the wall it tears apart, and momentum is how far past the wall the car gets. So you're not looking so much to tear the wall apart like you would be with a bullet. You're looking
Yeah.
you're looking to see how far past that wall you can get your car.
Okay.
And so everybody looks to build like these high kinetic energy. Forget the kinetic energy. I mean, yeah, granted, you build a heavier arrow, you're shooting a faster bow, blah blah blah. You're going to create kinetic energy because regardless, you're going to lose some semblance of energy when it hits the animal. But
Yeah.
you're looking to retain as much energy as possible. So you're wanting to put as much of the weight towards the front as you can. You want that perfect 13%, front to center. Um, and you want to shoot an arrow that from your rest is sitting on a compound. You want it. What I like to do is make sure that the point of my broadhead is right at the Burgess hole.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so like it is right there in the middle of my riser,
Okay.
and so my rest sits further back away from my riser,
Okay.
and then the tip of my and that gives me as much energy as I can. It gives me the stiffest arrow that I can get away with because I don't want any once it hits the target, I don't want it to move at all because that's losing momentum. That's losing energy is once it hits if it moves.
Oh
If it starts
shoot!
flexing.
Any
So
wiggle, any.
I
It,
want that arrow as stiff as I can get away with that'll tune perfect. And
okay.
I I make sure that I tune my bow as absolutely perfect as I can so that I can do stuff like this. My bow shop has run out of my broadheads, and I won't. If I can get away with it, I will not buy things offline. I won't do it. I'll go into my bow shop and I'll support the guys in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
Shoot you.
they're out of my broadheads. They obviously have ordered more, but they haven't come. It's been 2 months, so I went and you know, just to see if I could, I went and picked up these goofy things.
Now, how are they? I've seen. What are they called again?
The
Blood.
OCD blood therapy, I think.
Yeah, that's.
But my point is this looks nothing like this.
No,
And if I shoot this the same as I shoot this,
you're tuned.
I will split one arrow with the other. Doesn't
Oh,
matter. I
okay.
could shoot this one first. I could shoot that. I'll split my arrows. You know, and that's that's how you want your bow tuned. And a lot of people get into the mechanical over fixed blades or fixed blades over mechanical. It's a sharp edge. All you're doing with a mechanical is making it a bigger cut, and all that's
Yeah.
doing is damaging more meat. And 2 inches of meat is 2 inches of meat. That's an extra, you know, 4 ounces of burger I could be eating. You know,
Yeah.
that's a whole hamburger. You're talking about taking a whole hamburger out of my deer.
See,
I'm
I just
okay with that.
I can find faults for a giant. I mean, don't get me wrong. You put a 2 inch rage, 2.5 inch rage in the rib cage, perfect on the side of a deer. Yeah, but it would have killed it just as easy. I shoot the rocket. What are they? The meat seekers or meteors? Where the hell they are? The 3 blade, the ones that open, like the plunge. The tip comes down and it pops them open.
Yeah, meat seekers. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
shoot those. It's only an inch and an eighth,
Yeah.
but I like a small broadhead. I'm kind of partial to because I can find more.
So do I.
Okay,
No, I'm listening. I was just
but
putting my
but
arrow
no,
away.
I because like last year or the year before last, I had a good 8 pointer come in September, and when he came in, they got. I had corn out, and this day, and I shouldn't have hunted over the corn when I did. Usually I never hunt over my corn the same day. I drop it out, and I said, "I'll screw it." I climbed a tree, and they came out, and when they seen the corn, they were spooked. And I
Yeah.
put it, and they were turning to walk down through the woods, and I was already drawn. And I said, and the deer happened to be going through the woods, and it stepped into a swale, and I seen him. He was standing right there, 40 yards. I've never shot, and all I did was took my 20-yard pin and I put it like 2 inches above his back, and I said, "Well, I know the son of a gun is going to drop because what I do is when I shoot my broadheads, I have tape, and I know my drop, if anything, because I don't. There ain't no way I'm moving my pin. I
Yeah.
see they say, and I got a single pin. I said there ain't no way I'm moving it when a deer's right there. So I judge my drop, and I put that dot. I pictured a dot right above his back, like resting on his spine, and I knew it was going to drop pretty good. And when I did, I caught him. That deer must have heard that shot, and he spun to run down the hill, and I caught him in the last rib back, almost in the gut. And like I
Hmm.
said, I'm only shooting a small broadhead, and that damn thing smacked that last rib, but I lodged it in the opposite shoulder. Ran 80 yards, boom, stone dead. And the only reason I have such an argument of a smaller broadhead, if I was shooting a big freaking broadhead, I mean, I'd have stuck it in that last, if it was a 2.5 inch range, I know my bow don't have enough energy to send that arrow. My charger don't have enough. It wouldn't have sent that broadhead all the way up and lodged it. I'd have stuck them in the side, and it would have
Yeah.
been like. And I don't. And I've shot deer. I shot two in Kentucky one time with a rage. A buddy of mine gave me those two bladed rages, and I shot one dead broadside, and it came out between the back legs, the first one, and I was like, whoa. I didn't know how it happened. I'm like, how the hell did that happen? I killed the deer, stone dead. It took 2 steps, fell over, but it came out between his legs. I shoot another one, standing broadside at 20 yards. That freaking arrow came out almost underneath his chin.
Yeah.
How the hell? And I talked to a guy, but you ever hear those Thor broadheads? Is it Thor?
Yes.
I talked to him one day, and him and I were talking about it, and he said they deflect, is what they're so
Yeah.
big.
So what happens is, so a rib is a solid thing,
Yeah,
and a broadhead is a very narrow, fast moving thing. And so when you hit it, unless you hit that rib dead square on, it's gonna hit the shape of that blade. That blade's angled like, a knife.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you've taken your knife across a piece of wood. It doesn't want to go straight through the wood. It kind of turns into it. It turns.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the same with that. That blade wants to turn with the bone because you're going off of a ramp, and so yeah, it'll break it, but at first you're turning it. You're turning that broadhead, and then it's breaking because all the energy wants to go straight, but the broadhead wants to turn.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So you're breaking that broadhead, and then you're moving the arrow into another path. It's not just straight through.
That was my argument, and I said, man, that broadhead's looking for its easiest path.
Yeah, and the bigger the broadhead, the more movement you're getting out of that broadhead.
And I don't know. This is just all my own theory. I was telling a buddy of mine, he shoots a Halon, I think just shy of 60 pounds. And I said, let me tell you something, pal. You're shooting a 2.5 or 2-inch range broadhead. You do not have enough energy to break 2 ribs. That thing's wide enough. If it's facing north and south, it's wide enough to try to break 2 ribs going in and 2 going out the other side. It can't do it. There ain't enough energy in your bow, pal. It's going to turn itself east and west.
Yeah.
It's trying to go between those ribs. And because I said, I bet you if you pull up the majority of your pictures of deer, that broadhead, that cut is not from front to back. It's from top to bottom. Because there ain't no way you're getting a pass through breaking 2 ribs. Because it ain't going to happen. It's too thick. I'm not saying.
A lot of time that's what it is, and you'll see on like all of the Facebook groups and all of the hunting groups and everything else. Well, I didn't find this deer, but I had this really good blood path and this, that, and the other. And I was like, yeah, because but you passed right there because you wanted to shoot this big old, I want to cut the deer in half broadhead, and what you really did was, like I said, you're looking for the kinetic energy. You're dumping the energy into the animal. You're not looking for the momentum. You're not trying to continue the arrow through the deer. And people have built such a huge thing around like momentum or kinetic energy, that it's like any other like folk tale or wives' tale or anything like that. Like once you get a hold of it, putting salt on a mosquito bite, it really doesn't do anything, but everybody's thinking it's going to do something, and so they're going to stick with it.
You're right.
And they'll never let it go.
No, and I know you can argue, like you said, you can argue the fact, but you're like, and that's, like I said, I have friends that my one buddy, he just went to the Rage Tri-Pans, I guess they are. And the same thing. And don't get me wrong, he shot a deer last year, left the blood trail. But he took the top of the heart out. He could have shot it with a target tip and it would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
He took the heart out of the deer. And he was like, oh, that's them Tri-Pans. I told you they were. I said, let me tell you something, pal. You could have shot that thing with anything. And it would have done the same. It was dead as dead. You took the heart out of it. It was a perfect shot. But I said, what happened? But he also has pictures of deer that he hit. And, I thought I hit it perfect. Just like what you said. I thought I hit it perfect. And I never found it. Good blood, good blood.
Yeah.
And that's when I told him, I said, to me, and this is what my son was talking about. He said, Dad, you got to understand, when that blade is that far away from the ferrule, there's so much, there's play at the end of that thing. Play is energy. Remember, anything that arrow does, if it wiggles, it's like we talked about it as money. Pretend that arrow is $100 bill. Every time it does something, you lose money. It might have started as 100. It bent, so you lose money. That's energy. Anything that arrow has to try to do, when it hit that deer with a mechanical head,
you just lost $30, right?
Yeah, there. Exactly. There goes some more money. And he said, by the time that thing is done, that $100 that you spent, let me tell you something, you're down to some change. Hopefully everything, it didn't encounter nothing else, bone. Because there you go again. Now it's doing everything in its power trying to stop.
And that's why I am such a huge proponent of having heavy front arrows, is because you take $100 and now you just added $25 to the front.
You believe it or not, you made me a believer because I never did. I used to hear, and I always thought like if I was going to have momentum, why wouldn't I have momentum in the back? Why would I have?
Because so it's a little bit of a balance. So with this one doesn't have a lighted. Oh, just stab myself with my broadhead. I'm a genius. Okay, so this one's got a lighted knob. So I've got 175 grains up here, 100 grain
Okay.
broadhead, 75 grain insert, but I've got 30 grains back here.
Oh.
Four fletched arrow, 20 grain lighted knock, 7 grains on my wrap. So
Okay.
I got like 32 grains back here, and I've got 175 up here. And the thing is the more weight you put up here, it doesn't matter what your spine is, you're weakening it. You're weakening your spine.
Okay.
The more weight
Okay.
up front. And you counteract that by putting weight on the back end, and that'll re-stiffen you out. So
Okay.
as that comes out, the more weight that's back here, the stiffer you're making your spine and the weaker you're making your spine up here. And that's going to reduce flex. So the Archer's paradox, everybody knows about it, whatever
Yeah.
else. It does not have nearly the effect on a compound that it does on a traditional or a recurve.
Okay.
Because your compounds are center shot. There's nothing between the string and the arrow. There's no riser that the arrow has to make its way around.
Okay. Okay.
It's shooting exactly straight. So you don't have to, even though the arrow is flexing in flight, it's bending in flight, you don't have to worry about which way it's bending or how much it's bending.
Okay.
Because it is
Okay.
coming straight out. So the stiffer you can get that arrow, it is, because you were losing less energy. That's less momentum. And once it hits that target, it's not going to bend more to lose more energy. You are
Okay.
staying straight and you are continuing that momentum. So
Wow, that's okay. Believe it or not, man, I've learned a lot. And I've been like you. I've been doing, and I fall into the same category as I've been doing it so long. I'm like, oh bullshit, you ain't gonna teach an old dog a new trick. I'm like,
no, dude,
but it's true. It's
and
true.
that's my thing is like you can always learn something.
Oh
Like
my God, yeah. And trust me, I'm not too proud to say, damn, man, you're right. And I see your idea, and I never did. I hear people, like you said, they put the inserts in. I'm like, and trust me, I bought most of my arrows out of Walmart. I go
yeah,
at the end of the year, they're 8.7, they're victory arrows. And I said, Jim, I killed deer with them all. But the only thing I can tell you, and it even had me confused, I don't get a lot of pastors, rarely.
that's okay. So if you take an arrow and you hold it broadhead up and you drop it, it's going to try to turn around.
Okay.
Now, if you drop it this way, it's going to gain speed.
Okay.
Here, you're working against itself. That weight wants to get to the ground first. So it's going to try to turn, and you're losing energy by letting it turn.
Okay.
Now, when an arrow's flying, by the time it reaches its target, it's going to be on its downward arc. So where do you want the weight? You want it up front.
Okay.
You are continuing momentum by putting weight at the front. And
I
the
can tell
more
you
weight,
this. I'm
the
gonna.
more weight.
I'm gonna. That's because there is obviously the proofs in the put. I'm shooting. It's a 70 pound. I'm shooting 280 feet a second. And I said, and like I said,
But what's the weight of your arrow? And how much that weight is
it's. I think my arrows are 8.7. I think they're like 340 with 100. Like probably like 440, 440. Yeah, because yeah, around
See, and
there.
I tell people all the time, like I have no problem with people coming out. I don't even have to know you past a handshake and a good conversation, and I'm more than willing to bring you out to hunt pigs on my place. But you are not going to ever shoot a pig on my place with anything less than 450 grains at the lightest. I
See,
will.
mine are, and that's what I could. And I always looked at it like I mean, I just looked at the deer end of it. I said it's a thin-skinned animal. You know what I mean? I said I'm shooting plenty. I had plenty of. I only went to speed, and I went to poundage. It was more speed because what I looked at was flatness. I
Right.
said, because like I said, I'm a lousy judge of distance. And I said, well, if I could keep my arrow, within a baseball, no matter what, I mean, if I misjudge a few yards here or there, and it's so damn flat, and it did, I could shoot that bow right there from almost 0 to like 32 yards.
God, yeah, you got to come out, man. Come out here. I got a 60-yard range with a potential of shooting 100 yards. Dude, it'd be so fun to shoot with you and show you some stuff.
Oh, you trust me, you're getting, because that's what I think. I mean, I'm in the process. I am buying a new bow. Like I said, that's a newer bow. And once I do, and I almost bought that, like I said, I was looking at that Prime. I delivered a piece of equipment to a guy that owned a big heating and air company, and
Yeah.
he hunts Kansas, a lot of money. And he went into his garage, and he never sells a bow. We were talking for like 45 minutes, him and I. And he goes, "You interested in a bow?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to buy one." And he goes, "How about this one right here?" And he was going to sell it to me for $400. And I said, $400, I'll buy a bow. I knew he had money. I knew he was buying top of the line. And I said, "I'll buy it everything, but I don't need the sight. I have my own sight." He said, "Okay." But then I found out the bow I was going to buy, I couldn't adjust the draw length. It had to be, you had
Yeah.
to change the cam. And I looked up the cams. I called up. They're $150. And I said, "I'm not buying cams."
But I mean, it's just a mod, and if you take it into most bow shops, as long as the mods that you do have, if you now a good bow shop, because there's a lot of bow shops out there that are gonna, I want your money. A lot of them see it as you're giving me a mod, I'm gonna give you a mod.
I think this Prime, the only reason I called up, and I think the only reason, see, they did that with my Hoyt. They took my mods off, put new ones on, and walked out the door. But I think this Prime, because it's not popular,
Hmm.
and that's why he told me. He said they're $150.
Yeah, that's like my target bow is a super popular bow,
Uh
but
huh.
it's not made anymore.
Okay.
But everybody wants it. Um, Energy, and oh, I love it. No, got a little hiccup in my internet. That's what I get living out in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, it's a smoking bow, but because it's not made anymore and it is so popular, it's
Uh
not
huh.
easy to get parts of. And bow shops aren't like willing to let go of what they got. You know what I mean? So they're like,
Okay.
eh. So I do have to buy more stuff for that to when I'm changing things up than for like my ritual that's still currently being made. Like I can walk in and be like, "Hey, so I messed this up. You mind giving me a hand, guys?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, well, if what you
Yeah.
got's not busted, we'll take that off your bow and put on this new stuff."
Oh,
You know,
okay.
and
Damn.
as long as I'm not breaking stuff, they're okay with just swapping it out.
Man, you really got me thinking. Like I said, I mean, like I know damn well I will, and because like I said, because I see what happens. I mean, like I said, and I always looked at it like a deer. If I could stick an arrow 4 inches into the deer, it's halfway through it.
Yeah,
And I'm like, and that's what I tell my friends. I said, don't tell me. I said, no matter what I shoot, where I shoot them, it's at least 4 or 5 inches in a deer. And trust me, a deer ain't that wide.
yeah,
2/3 of the way through this damn thing. But I don't, and I could tell you, and I know it firsthand. I don't get the best blood trails because I only
yeah.
have a single hole. You know.
Right. And I'll tell it to you like this. So a a Ferrari going 200 miles an hour. If it's a light car. If it hits that brick wall, it
It's
ain't gonna make it far through that wall.
no.
But if my '83 F250 with the 7-liter in it hits that same brick wall going at 80 miles an hour. It might feel like it, the transmission's shaking out of it at 80 miles an hour, but I bet you I'm gonna keep driving after
Yeah,
I
you're
hit
gonna
that
have to
wall.
look for me to find it. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
You're right.
You're gonna need a lighted knock because you're gonna have to go look for your arrow that just blew through that deer.
Yeah, and like I said, even like I said, when I argued with my buddy, he does shoot heavy. He's only shooting a light poundage bow, and it proves your theory right, because he's shooting not the kinetic energy side of this thing. He's shooting the
He's shooting
momentum
for
side.
momentum. Yeah.
And that's what's pushing. It's driving his arrow because he does. He
Yeah.
he uses inserts and everything else, and
Yeah.
and his
But John Reuter, the guy that he's the manager of the bow shop that I go to. And one of his favorite things to say is, "You're putting ass in it." I
yeah.
mean, you're putting ass in that arrow. He'll tell me all the time, like, "Hey, I just want to add like an extra grain here, extra grain there, maybe like throw 10 grains here or whatever else." He'll be like, "You want to put some ass in that arrow, ain't you?" I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. You know,
See,
I
that's what I guess at once upon a time when I used to shoot aluminum, that's what I had. Because trust
yeah,
me, I'd hit a deer and I'd knock him 3 foot. It looked like he shot him with a gun. I used to laugh. Somebody said, "Well, where did he go?" I said, "The same way the arrow went."
yeah,
He's like, "What?" I said, "It'd push him." If I hit him broadside, because I used to shoot either Thunderhead 125s or Anderson used to make an old broadhead. It was a 4 bladed and 140 grain broadhead. And let me tell you something. It might have sounded like a 410 going off, but fuck, it would hit him so freaking hard. And I'd almost be comical watching. My friend was like, he'd hear it. They'd be in the other end of the way. He said, "What the fuck was that noise?" I said, "Man, I just blistered this deer." And he said, "Damn, I sound like a 410 going off over there." And it would, you'd hear whack. And I was like,
yeah,
this one I shot with this one, I did shoot one with this one, when I stuck my finger down in the hole, I wanted to find my arrow. I stuck my finger, it was like putting it in broken glass. I must have caught that
yeah.
rib perfect because it didn't deflect off the rib. I stuck my finger in it.
It
I was
just
like,
shatters it.
it was
Yeah,
just, and that's it was like a gunshot. Like if you were to shoot a gun. I shot one not this one, my other one. I shot that damn deer. He was kind of walking underneath me. I shot him through here, and that arrow went through the top of his shoulder. It about knocked the landing gear right off him. Went through here, came out underneath his armpit, and caught the forearm, and it busted that. I took him to a processor, and the processor, my brother took it for me. And he said, "The next time your brother shoots a deer with a rifle, don't ever bring it here again." And he said, "Dude, he shot with a bow and arrow." He said, "No way. He ain't no way he shot that deer with a bow and arrow." He said, "His top." He said, "It's not that he went through the shoulder plate. He went through that rib that runs down through the shoulder right there, that little seam in there." He said he went through that. He said he came out. He broke a rib coming out this side, and he said his forearm is completely shattered. And he said he didn't shoot. He said, "Let me tell you something. He shot with damn near 90 pounds." But I used to shoot these massive aluminum arrows too at the
yeah,
time.
yeah,
And they probably weighed a ton.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Aluminum innately is gonna weigh more. I
Yeah,
mean,
these things, and that's
it's
what I
the
used to.
nature of the beast.
Yeah, it sucked. You get no longevity out of them.
Well, yeah, they bend really easy because again, it's aluminum. So
Yeah, I smack a target and you'd be like, you're like,
yeah,
straighten that out.
yeah. Let me just bend it. But okay, so you remember back in the day when you could like, I bent my arrow and you just kind of bend it back over your knee.
Yeah. I roll it on the table. Oh, there. Oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, yeah. That's good enough for government work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a little kink in it, but it'd be
And
fun.
and now here I am, like with these fancy like .001 carbon arrows that I don't ever have to worry about them bending and stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, like I cannot shoot an arrow that isn't just like.
Do you number them too? Which ones go?
Um, for my target arrows, I do, but only because I'm trying to outshoot people
Yeah.
better than me. So but on my hunting arrows, I just as long as they're all exactly the same within
Yeah.
5 grains, I know I'm good.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think I'm like some Superman that can shoot better than anybody else or anything like that. There's thousands of people that shoot better than me.
That's me. I
If
just
you know,
enjoy.
if I had to rank myself, I mean, I could probably hit an X on a 5-spot target more times than average Joe, but
Okey
I'm not gonna hit it more times than anybody I'm competing against, and most of them are gonna hit it 10 times more than me. I've never won nothing. I don't think I'm gonna ever win nothing.
But I mean, if you're happy with yourself, and that's what I guess like where you're at. I'm happy. I mean, I don't wound animals, and
Yeah.
if I ever got to that point, then I would quit. You
See,
know.
and that's my thing is like I like to be able to say that I can stand in the ranks. Not so much that like I have a place in the ranks, but I like being good enough that I can say, I can shoot with these people. They all shoot fucking better than me, but I can shoot with them,
That's
you
it's
know?
fun. Yeah. Okay. And
And
that's
every time I go is a time for me to learn. Like you sit and watch this guy that he might be an asshole and he might like, oh, I'm not gonna tell you anything because
yeah.
I'm a professional. And I can't give my fucking secrets.
Yeah.
Well, dickhead, you're giving your secrets every time you draw your bow. So keep fucking shooting. I'm
Yo,
watching.
shit. Yeah. I mean,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
unless you're shooting in the dark, pal. I'm sitting there watching.
Yeah.
But you're right. And I just, like I said, for myself, I pride myself on how many arrows I let fly, and
Mhm.
my kill ratio is. And that's what, even with my buddies, when I'm out in Kentucky, I kind of get off on, like, one of my friends might shoot something. We'll say, well, okay, we'll go look for his, and then we'll come back and go look for yours. And they'll call me and said, you still looking? I said, I'm done. I got it. And it was cool because my one friend that goes out there, like I said, I've been going out there better part of 30 years. And the guy I go out there to see told another friend of mine, he goes, you know what's weird? Alan's been coming out here the better part of 30 years. I don't remember looking for a deer. He's usually saying every time, I got it. I got it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I never lost a deer, but I'd be lying to you. But have I lost enough to say I need a lot of work? And that's what, and I got off on that. He goes, my friend came up to me. He goes, Dink said that you don't remember ever looking for any of your deer. Usually by the time you're done, you got it. And I said, man, I
Yeah.
said, because I also don't shoot unless I have a good shot.
Yeah.
I'm not one of them. I don't like to I'll miss, I won't get a shot before I take a risky
Yeah.
shot. And
Yeah.
I don't,
I'm that too. And so the first animal I ever lost, funny story. First animal I ever lost was a hog. And
uh-huh.
it was this sow, and it wasn't even with my bow. It was with a rifle. And it was here in Texas, and it was on my place. And middle of the night, I had my father-in-law's 270 with me, and I had stocked up on this uh, souter of pigs, and there was just this one sow by herself. And I was like, well, she's alone. Perfect shot. Gonna take it. Wow. And I watch her drop, and then I hear, and I was like, oh shit. And I dropped the rifle where I was at like an idiot because cats climb trees. And I went up this deck straight up, and I'm holding on there. And everybody's like, oh yeah, bobcats are big. And bobcat tails. This thing tail behind me. And there's a cougar. And like, if I didn't get a picture, nobody'd have believed me.
Damn.
And now my kid just woke up. I think her cartoons just shut off.
Okay, it's not.
Oh no, it's her bedtime, so she's mad that her cartoons are off, but they're gonna stay off because she's got to go to bed. But yeah, so like I stuck up in this tree, like, oh my god, there's a cougar underneath me, holy shit! And I stayed there for a good 2 hours while this thing it didn't move, it just stayed right there, just watching, and then it just got up, walked around the tree a couple times, and then walked over to the pig that I shot and drugged the pig onto my aunt's place. And I was like, Jesus,
Damn.
I almost died. Because I'm sitting here in this tree like, you dropped your gun, dumbass. They climb trees, dumbass. Oh shit, I'm gonna die. And I'm like, I can't get out of the tree.
Not the best idea in the world.
Well, and my wife, it was 3 years ago actually, because my wife was pregnant with my daughter at the time, and she was 8 months pregnant. And I called her up and I was like, "You need to get in the truck right now. Come hauling ass with all the lights on, the horn going, the radio up. Come out here quick." And she's like, "I told you I didn't want you going out tonight. I told you something was wrong. You didn't believe me. Good night." And she hung up. And I was like, "I'm going to die." And you hung up on me. And I called her back and she said, "I said good night." You hung up again. But I mean, she's like 8 months pregnant. She's like, "I don't have a good feeling about you going out tonight. Will you stay home?" And I was like, "No, they're
I'll be
out there
fine.
messing up my hay. I ain't gonna. No, I gotta kill these pigs." You know?
Oh my god. Oh man.
And,
I could talk all freaking night long, dude.
oh yeah, man.
But
And she's asleep already. There's a great part. My daughter's the greatest kid ever. Like she'll make a little bit of a fuss to let you know that she ain't happy about something.
then
But
bang.
whatever it is just done. Especially at bedtime. Like her show just ended, and she cried to see if I'd come turn it on, like turn it back on. I'm not going to turn it back on. I'm gonna, it's bedtime, and so she makes a little fuss, and then it's just, all right, Dad's not coming. Just go to sleep.
See, I'm lucky. My daughter, like I said, my daughter graduated from Texas Tech, and my son.
Outstanding.
Oh
Congratulations.
yeah, and the one you see, that Spartan Theology, he went to Clemson in South Carolina. So
Well,
I'm done.
you can't raise them all smart.
No, thank God they take after my wife. But, hey, I'm just glad he's not a gamecock. That's about it.
Yeah.
That's what we tease us. Thank God, Ethan, you went to Clemson and not South Carolina.
Yeah.
But nah, like I said, I got same thing. I got two great kids. But
Yeah.
my son will hunt.
Yeah. Well, get him out here hunting. You
Oh,
come on
it's
out, shoot a pig with me.
trust me. If we hunt together, we'll hunt together. Trust me, because I love it. Like I said, I just enjoy it, and I guess, like I said, what I enjoy other people's, what's going on as much as mine. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like, man, I think it's so. I love filming. I filmed for a couple of my buddies. They're like, go hunting. You only have a week, and I'm like, no, man, I want to sit in the ground blind with you, and I want to videotape. And they're like, man, you're gonna waste some of your own hunting. I said, I got plenty of it. I got
Yeah.
plenty of deer.
See, and that's what. So, I'm a stay-at-home dad.
Uh huh.
Obviously, military retirement, and then I got the ranch, and the wife
Okay.
goes to work, but I work the cows and I work the kids.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So I raise the kids at home. I got we adopted my cousin. He's 20 now. I adopted him when
Okay.
he was 15. And so I've got 5 kids, 2 with my ex-wife. My wife has one from her ex-husband. We got a daughter together, so we got 5 kids collective.
Okay.
And I do this thing where so there's a lot of people that want to like learn to hunt and learn to track, do all of this stuff, but they don't have an outlet for it. And I found
Yeah.
this out. I found this out through Facebook at a group called Stay at Home Dads, because
Yeah.
I thought that I was like one in a million, but it turns out that there's freaking so many dads that stay home with their kids. Cool.
Okay.
We get to raise the kids. Trucks and bows and arrows,
Don't get any better than that.
right? And so when I started being a stay-at-home dad, like I joined a bunch of like mom groups and stuff at first, and I was like, man, these bitches hate each other. Like legit mean as shit. Like you're supposed to be helping each other, like raise your kids and stuff. And I can't believe you're that kind of parent. But you join a stay-at-home dad group, like you join a dad group, and they're all like, "Hey, good job, Dad. You did good, Dad. Good job, Dad." And mom groups, they're like, "What kind of parent? You're freaking awful." And I'm like, Jesus. And it started the way that I found this group is it started over like my youngest daughter's pack and play. Like shit got different in the time from my youngest to the next one up, you know.
Okay.
And I couldn't put this pack and play together. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Somebody help.
Right? And I was like, I already threw out the fucking instructions. I don't know where they went. Because
Yeah,
I
I don't need
figured,
this
you know,
shit.
I've got 4 other kids. I've had 4 more of these things. I can put this one together.
I'm
I
a
was like,
pro
I
at it.
fucking don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And so I watched this YouTube video, and this lady is like the nicest bitch on earth.
Just
Like it's okay that you don't know what the hell you're doing. You'll learn how to be a good mommy. We're gonna put this back. I'm like, you are a bitch. If
I got
anybody ever talked to my wife like that, I'd smack the shit out of them. You're supposed to be helping people, and you are mean as shit. So I was like, there's got to be like a dad YouTube or something where the dad's like, all right, motherfucker, we're gonna put this
yeah,
bitch
that's how you
together.
do. God damn it!
You know, some dude being like, this son of a bitch, won't you just shove it in there? No,
Just hit it harder. God damn it!
it's all moms talking to you like you're a fucking idiot. And so I was like, I got to change this shit, you know? So I joined the stay at home dad group, and there's like so many dads out there now that are like, you know, I see all of these hunting things and fishing things. And like, I didn't have a dad to teach me that, or my
Yeah.
dad didn't have the time to teach me that. And this is something that I want to do. So I took it upon myself that I have people, like I say, I bring people out here all the time. And I teach people how to spot and stalk pigs. I teach people how to hunt whitetail. I teach them how to sit in stands, how to spot stalk. I teach them how to blood track. I teach them how to
Oh,
print
pretty
track
cool.
all the time. And I think that if you have a skill and you keep that skill, you are probably worse than any other person on earth.
Oh,
To have knowledge and to hold on to it because you don't want them to use what you know better than you is the most awful thing you can do as a person.
Oh, it's what I always like when my son and I talk. It's not what you have, you know. I mean, I know it's cliche, but it's what you leave behind, you
Yeah.
know. And that's what I am. See, now I have like the opposite in Kentucky. That's why I'm so adamant about that. It's to me, it's like having the ultimate picture or the ultimate car or the ultimate truck. I said to keep it to yourself would suck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hide it in your garage and say, I don't want nobody to ever see it. You know, it's a one badass car, but you're never gonna. And that's why when I got lucky when I went to Kentucky, it was like hitting a winning lottery ticket. And it's like with my friends, I go, I've probably had 5 people so far I've taken out there, and I just love sharing it. You know, to me, nothing's better than for them to say, God, this is so fun. It's crazy. And I said, isn't it? Isn't it? And it's just I know it sounds redundant, but I just love sharing it. And that's what these guys are. They're like, dude, man. He said, you got it. You're lucky. And I said, I know so many people that I probably my own friends that I'm sharing it with wouldn't do it the other way around. You know, if
Yeah.
they had it, they'd be telling me about it, but it wouldn't be one of these things like, oh man, you got to go. And I'm like, dude, man, when that one guy said, man, I'd love to go. And I was like, when do you want to go?
And I'm over here like, hey, dude, you want to come shoot a pig?
Exactly. And you know how many people. I mean, I've talked to people. I mean, I meet people every day. You know,
Yeah.
and I do the same. And I ask. You know, I was like, you know, they'll be telling me stories and stuff like that about pigs and stuff like that. Oh man, I said I'd love to. Never. And I'll be
Yeah.
sitting there going, dude, you ever want to go on a whitetail hunt? You know, I mean, let me know. I said, I got, you know, because I'd love to fly out with somebody. It's the best. You
Yeah.
know, and it really is. You know, I mean it's so, like I said. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but it's like once you get there, you don't need a vehicle. That's what my one friend said. He goes, the only thing I was scared about getting out there was kind of being trapped. You know, like man, what if we want to go to the store and everything? As I told you, we got trucks. You know, and when he got there, he said, I thought you were bullshitting. I said, no, I ain't bullshitting. You know, we got an old Dodge. We got a nice F-250, a nice one. And we got a Dodge Power Wagon, an old piece of shit, but it works. And we got a side by side, a Polaris side by side. We got 2 4-wheelers, Polaris 4-wheelers, and nobody cares. It isn't like, oh, be careful, don't get it muddy. Oh, bullshit. It's a farm vehicle. And my one friend does take care of cows. And when he got hurt out there, when he fell out of that ladder stand, and that's the only thing he said, Alan, I got to ask you a favor. It kind of ruined my hunting for those days. but he said, dude, you got to take care of them cows. And I was like, man, I got you back, you know, and that's what makes us close out there. And he even wants me to move out there. He's like, come on, man, you'd make a good farmer, you know? And I said,
See that,
maybe.
and that's okay. Of all the people that have ever hunted with me, there's my best friend is the only guy that is allowed to hunt whitetail out here.
Uh huh.
And the only reason why is when my father-in-law had his kidney surgery, he got his kidney removed for the cancer.
Yeah.
He didn't ask nothing. He showed up. You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
just was like, "Hey, you got some calves born. You need castrate. You need ear tagging. What do I need to do?
Yeah.
Like, you tell me what you need hands with." And
Yeah.
I never had a want for a hand. I never had to go to the high school and be like, "Hey, any of you kids want to make some money?" And that's normally what we do is when we're pushed for hands, we usually hire a couple high school kids
Oh, okay. Uh huh.
and I haven't had to do that, you know.
Shits.
And it's what made him my best friend. It's what got him to hunt deer on my place. And
Oh,
I mean, I'll
shoot.
bring anybody out to shoot a pig.
Yeah, it's.
But
I mean, like I said, when I this guy same. It's funny you say it because that's when I first met him. It wasn't what he did for me the first time. He said, Alan, he said, you were the guy that offered your stand to me. I didn't offer it to you, you know, because when I first met him, we were out, like I said, the western part of Kentucky. I was seeing deer. We were on one of them semi-guided hunts. Each
mhm,
person had their own parcel, and when I met this guy, I met him at a motel, and he was saying, you know, we started talking. And I said, "You seen anything?" He goes, "No." And I was seeing some deer. I said, "Dude, hunt one of my stands." And the farmer didn't even want us to mingle. This guy
mhm.
didn't want us to mingle for some reason. And I said, "I screw him," you know. I said, "Just go hunt one of my stands. I'm seeing deer. I don't know what you're gonna kill." And the long story short, he ended up killing this 8 pointer. When he came out, he goes, "Dude, I got bad news for you. I shot a deer out of your stand," and I was psyched, you know. And I said, "Man, good for you," like that. He goes, and when I seen it, I go, "Man, good buck," like that. He goes, "Are you serious?" I was in New Jersey, from New Jersey. And I said, "Yeah, nothing wrong with that deer." He said, "Let me tell you something. Where I live, I let that deer walk." But he said, "You know, I'm here and I get to use the tags from here." And he goes, "For letting me hunt your stand," he goes, "you got an open invitation." And I only knew the guy for 2 days. So the following year, I said, "Screw this." I told my wife, "I'm flying out." She goes, "You don't even know what he looks like anymore." In 2 days. And I said, "Well, hopefully he'll remember what I look like when I land at the airport." And at the time, you could go right up into the terminal, you know, didn't have all
Yeah.
that security. And I walked off, and some dude was standing there in camouflage. And I go, "You must be Dink." And he goes, "You must be Alan." And that's 31 years ago. And that's how it all. He said, "Alan, you were the first one. You let me." And he said, and from that point, we talk every single day, me and this guy. And well, he's as obsessed as I am, and that's what he said. He goes, "I never thought I'd find somebody that obsessed." And I said, and he loves it.
That's me all day, man. Is my wife? I remember one time we went to go hang out with her friends, and um, I can't remember what brought the conversation around to it. Somebody had said something, and I was like, "Dear," and my wife looked at me and was like, "Not now, not with these people. Don't ruin this for me."
Yeah, sorry, that's me. If it same thing, you know. That's what my wife. You know, we would like I've been at parties, and you know, somebody will bring up. I'll bring up hunting, and somebody will bring up fishing, and they'll go, "Ah, you're lucky. Your husband only hunts. It's only a few months out of the year." And my wife will go, "No, it's not.
That's not.
It's 24/7, 12 months a year. If he isn't hunting, he's filming, or he's scouting, or he's looking for sheds. He's looking for this. He's looking. I take every kid. I used to take every kid in the neighborhood. I had a big soybean field where I lived in New Jersey, not far from my house, and I'd see deer in there all the time. Some good ones too. And
Yeah,
I'd take these kids. I said, "Come on, man, you want to see some deer?" And their parents would be like, "Yeah, I'm just going with Alan." And but I loved it, you know, and it just like I said, I just ate up with it, you know. My
yeah.
wife calls me a deeraholic. She said, "You're just
My
obsessed."
wife one time, uh, another. another hunting wife was like, well, at least it's only this, and here's an urban guy that, he
Uh-huh.
really, he and, she was like, well, at least deer season's only 3 months. And my wife looked at her and goes, do you know how many hunting seasons there are? And she goes, yeah, there's just deer season, right? And my wife goes, do you know about duck season? Do you know about squirrel season? Do you know about pigs? You know this, that.
Oh, this.
My husband probably sleeps with arrows that I don't know about.
See, that's what I envy you for that. Like I said, when I lived in South Carolina, I had a lot of close hunting. When I lived in New Jersey, I lived between. You remember that stupid show, Jersey Shore?
Yeah.
Well, that's right where I'm from. I mean, I'm not proud of it. I grew up right there, but 15 minutes from my house, I had some of the best deer hunting that you could. Because it was, believe it or not, a lot of farmland.
Yeah.
And I mean, you would only hunt like some of my land was like 30 acres, 25 acres. Some of these they were like estates. You ever seen them rural deer hunt? I swear to God, I used to do this. I hunted in this guy's driveway. I used to watch him go to work. He'd stop and wave to me.
So
And
I lived in Utah for a little while, and
damn.
where I lived in Utah, mule deer is real big in Utah,
Okay, yeah.
and where I lived, um, I got permission from the three neighbors to the right of me. The neighbor to the left of me was not too kindly, and then about four neighbors that way. But it was all butted back to a mountainside, and it was just suburban neighborhood. And
Damn.
then everything on the opposite side was just straight city. And some of the biggest, gnarliest deer you'd see would come out of the parks in the city to go up the mountains. And I'd just sit right back there
Oh
and
my God. That had to have been a blast.
dude, and so if you ever get a chance to go to Utah and you're in Salt Lake City, right
Uh-huh.
near the University of Utah, there's a cemetery, and they have this secluded population of deer that live in that cemetery. And I can't walk past that cemetery without seeing them deer and just because they've never been hunted a day in their life. The only thing that ever kills them are cars. And so
Yeah.
you've got 7, 8-year-old deer in there that are just
Just boom.
and they've got bodies on them like freaking elk because they just do nothing but like people feed them all
Yeah.
year round, and they just sit in this cemetery because
Jeez.
everything around that cemetery is nothing but city. It's just all asphalt, so they
Oh,
just stay
okay.
inside of this big cemetery, and they just are just
See, this farm where I hunt in Kentucky, see, all we do, really, I'm probably, see, we got other pieces around. My friends hunt, but when I'm out there, usually it's 900 something acres, and 90% of the time, I'm the only dude on it, and it sounds great, but it makes it so freaking hard because I find such good spots. But you know, one thing we got hit with this year out there, that chronic waste disease.
ah
We got hit up bad. They had the worst drought they ever had,
yeah,
and I guess them ponds were drying up, and they were. I guess that it's from a gnat. That's what they say. It's from like a fly, and
yeah,
it gets in the velvet. The easiest place to get to the blood is the velvet of the, and I guess all the bucks are together. Man, they were dropping like I bet you at least a third of the good buck. I got pictures I'll post. Good bucks. And you could tell when they die of that because they look like an animal that's died of starvation. It's like imploded, and no other animal will eat it. It's weird. You think the
yeah.
coyotes would tear it up? They leave it alone. They don't even want it because they're just. You could go back to this day. Some of the deer that died like in October and stuff, and the hair and everything's laying there. Like the deer, if you find the horns, you grab the horns, you end up pulling the whole deer with you. Just you know
Yeah.
bones and hair. and it's not even like the coyotes got it. Because usually you shoot a deer, the coyotes just tear it to shreds and pull the head one way, and but
Oh
they
yeah,
don't even bother with it.
yeah. And with uh man, disease in deer populations really gets me because I mean we've got so much. I mean, as hunters, we get already through disease, and
A friend of mine told
you
me.
know,
A friend of mine told me in Texas he hunts. I forget. It's like a 4 hour ride from here, and he's got a pod. It's called Chasing Times Across State Lines, and he said there's a thing here that happens when we get a bad drought, like a spore comes out of the ground, and the
hmm
deer eat it, and it kills them. I don't know what it's not chronic waste disease. It's another one.
oh, I think I know what you're talking about. It makes them go all crazy and
Yeah. Uh
it
huh.
eats at their brain. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't remember what it's called. Yeah, I know
Yeah, he
what you're talking
said, and he got hit. He said, I bet he was telling me, because we've been talking, and he goes, Alan, it's hard for me to kill a doe. He said, and I used to have tons of them on my, he said they'd come out near the feeder. He said, you just pick one you want. But he said, man, he said, I want, he wants to come out. I think he wants to come out and do a turkey hunt with me because, like I said, I'd love to get something going out there. Like I said, because it's too fun, and I just have, like I said, it seems like when I take the right people, like I took these other two guys a few years ago, and the one guy he just didn't enjoy it. I mean, I had a good time. He had a good time. He killed 2 deer. He was happy and everything, but he was just expecting too much. When he
about.
seen the deer, he started. Oh, I seen deer like that, and I'm like, that's fine. I didn't say I had booners running around. I mean, is there? Yeah, gotta be. I mean, a lot of deer walk, and Kentucky's known for its big deer, and it's right on the Ohio River, which is known for, and I said, they're here and I got them on video. I mean, I've posted them on my thing, some good, on my video camera, on my trail cameras. But
Yeah,
he was like, oh, and I'm like, well, and I never invited, he was supposed to come back, but I said, nah. But
there's always gonna be people like that though. That
yeah, and
like
I knew it, I
unless
mean,
it's perfect, they're not having fun. But
yeah, exactly.
you ever watch Steve Ranella?
Which
He's
one?
the meat eater guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
He says so there's not a lot of I take away from him other than like cooking because he's a rifle hunter, you know. I mean, yeah, he
yeah,
bow hunts sometimes, but he's a rifle hunter, so I don't take a lot away from him. But the one thing that he said that has resonated with me forever, and it was true for my military career as much as it's true for hunting, is the best, funnest hunts or memories or anything in your life are the ones that when it's happening suck the worst.
yeah, okay.
If it's and and I can't agree with any statement I've heard about hunting or fishing or anything like that more than that one statement simply because those are the ones where you're with other people, you know? If it sucks by yourself, then it just sucks.
Yeah.
But if you're with like a few guys and it sucks, but you're sucking together, like those are some really great times.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like,
some of my best stories I have with this one friend or my miss. He was watching me from
yeah,
and he was a gun hunter, but he was in a box blind, and he was looking down this food plot, and I was in a
and
ladder, and I missed. And we talk about. I said, if I'd have shot that deer, it'd have been so what? It was 18 yards, big freaking deer. You killed it, but I missed. I shot right underneath it, and to this day, we laugh harder about that deer. And I was like, that deer. I guess it was just meant to happen.
yeah, and that's like if it were my buddy. In fact, I have a was watching my best friend. You know, I have a story like that where I watched him miss, and we're sitting in the blind together. Man, and it was the most perfect shot too, and his limb hit the blind,
Okay.
and the arrow just went wonk. It went everywhere but straight. And to this day, anytime granted, he does shoot really good. He might shoot better than me. Probably does shoot better than me. But to this day, anytime he questions accuracy at all, I'm always like, "Hey, oh yeah, you sure you shoot better than me? How's that deer feel about how you shoot?"
Exactly. That's what it's all about. Well, I'm not trying to. I'm gonna cut this off. Like
Oh
I
no,
said,
you're all right, man. You keep it easy, and I'm following is that Dacky Whitetails on Facebook now?
okie dokes.
Uh, yeah, I got you followed up on pretty much everywhere now, and hope to
Definitely.
jump onto one of these again with you. This is
Yeah,
fun.
definitely. But I enjoyed it immensely. Like I said, and trust me,
Yeah,
I
man.
learned a lot. I
Let's
appreciate
get
it.
you out here. Let's get some.
I'm gonna take you up on it.
Be waiting for your message, man.
Okie dokes. And I appreciate everything.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Okay, you take care.